Hey world, jag heter Zaktarim Lord. Hey world, it is I, Zaktarim Lord, and yet again another YouTube video. Yeah, so let's get into content of this video. Um, kind of a pre-info, if you will, or there's probably a better word to describe. But the next few videos are going to be more geared to uh, Japanese and Korean content. And what I mean by that is more like languages, not cultural things, but more so language. Which language is part of culture, but yeah, you get the point. As I don't know if I said this in my last video, but I've well, let's go with this. I've been learning Japanese for a long, long time. Korean for a long time, but Japanese definitely a lot longer. Um, but just because you've self-taught yourself Japanese does not mean your skills are going to get recognized. You have to go through proper steps in order to get recognized. So, as a part of that, as I've come to my new university, I am taking both Japanese and Korean classes, and obviously through having my teacher is Japanese, so and for Korea, my Korean class, she's Korean. But the point is, through um having sort of some from ground zero classes, sort of being back at square one at the 101 stage, because I've never taken an actual university class for Japanese or Korean till now. Everything I know is said, it's self-taught, it's self-studied. I've gone through textbooks, different websites, apps, YouTube, everything by myself. I'll learn what I know by myself. Anyways, there are some things I've learned. We're not going over that in these first few videos, but as the title suggests, because I thought I would share with some of my students that they're not getting the full picture, and that made them go, whoa. So here we are. As the title suggests, we will be looking at Katakana in this video at a bigger scale. We'll be going over things you do not learn in the classroom. Now, you do learn what you do in the classroom for a reason. So, I will tell you, this is not a necessary watch. You do not have to watch this video. Knowing anything I'm about to share with you, as far as the extra stuff, you don't need it. You don't need it. It's kind of a, okay, this is some interesting information, and then you toss it out. you don't necessarily need to go hard into studying anything I'm about to show you. However, if you do learn Japanese for, a long time and master katakana, a lot of the things will be pretty self-explanatory. You'll be able to figure out how some of these are pronounced. I mean, you won't be maybe as readily able to read them, but you can make sense of them and come to a conclusion how they're pronounced. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So, I know people don't like Wikipedia, but as someone that has learned Japanese for a long time, I can tell you that the Wikipedia sites for the simple stuff is largely correct. Maybe a little rundown of katakana. Katakana, like hiragana, is one of the syllabary writing systems. In modern use, it is used for loan words. So this is words that come from English or German or Spanish or Portuguese Or sometimes if you want to write a Chinese name, like if someone's name is Chen Li, you would write out Li Chen in katakana. Um, as for the origins, in the beginning, katakana was sort of a kanji shorthand. You could use it to substitute in for some of the kanji, and you could also use it as sort of a this is how you pronounce this sort of thing, kind of like furigana of today. Um, but yeah, it was to help. And as for why, they had made it so that way it was easier, particularly for Buddhist monks and priests, to be able to read out Buddhist texts that were given to them in Chinese. Anyway, that's how it came about. That's how it's used. So let's just get into it. If you know any sort of Japanese, this is pretty much the chart you know, excluding some extras that they put. But let's go through this. We got the a, I, u, e, o, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. And if you know Japanese very well, you know if you add the two dots, this turns to ga, gi, gu, ge, go. Then we have sa, shi, su, se, so. Add the two dots, za, ji, zu, se, zo. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. Add the two dots, da, ji, zu, de, do. Nani, nu, ne, no. Ha, hi, fu, he, ho. Add the two dots, ba, bi, bu, be, bo. Add the circle, pa, pi, pu, pe, po. Ma, mi, mu, me, mo. Ya, yu, yo. Ra, ri, ru, re, ro. And then you'll know wa, bo, and These are two special characters that you'll pretty much never come across. They're respectively the ideas of wheat and wet. You'll, however, as you'll see later, you'll see a combination way that they write it using u, and we'll see that later. Let's scroll through. A chart including with the accent markers. Yep. Scroll down. Okay. We'll go over this real quick. So, the next thing you'll learn, you'll have already learned this with hiragana if you do go through the proper motions of learning Japanese, but you have the compounds. Take the E form of one character sound group, add a little version of the Y group sound you're trying to get that combines to make whatever sound. So ki plus ya, but small, makes kya. Ki plus yu, but small, makes kyu. Ki plus yo, but small, makes kyo. And it makes sense, because thinking about it, try to say kia really fast. Kia, 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 kia. Same logic for everything else. We got sha, shu, sho, cha, chu, cho, nya, nu, nyo, hya, hyu, hyo, bya, myu, myo, rya, ryu, ryo. And then accented versions, gya, gyu, gyo, ja, ju, jo, ja, ju, jo, bya, byu, byo, pya, pyu, pyo. Yeah. And that covers pretty much everything your Japanese teacher will probably teach you. However, bam, we're going to be going over this monstrosity. All this is the weird stuff you can also do using katakana. So we'll go over this, and then I'll tell you where you might come across with it, but also just re-emphasize that you don't really need to know any of this off the bat. So this goes in alphabetical order. So let's go with this. With the E group, and this is all logical. When you have a big E with a small e, this can be used to symbolize the idea of yeet, yeet. like you yeet. Likewise, if with a e and a small eh, yet, yet, yet. This makes sense. Think about it. Yeah, 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 yeah. That makes sense. Um, with the oo group, we got quite a bit to go over, but what, what. This, you could come across this maybe a little bit like, what's up, guys? You might have a Japanese write that, but I feel like they're more likely to use the actual wa. This is just like a substitute way to spell wa. So maybe if they're trying to be what is the word I'm looking for? A little out of the ordinary, special, unique, things like this. Maybe they'll artistic, they might use that. Any of these sounds, W sounds with the Y, like there's not a really good way to pronounce this, but maybe like ooya, ooya, ooya. That's kind of hard to make, but is what it is. Wheat, wheat. If you see wheat, this is what you might see rather than the up here, this unique character. You'll never see that one. You'll more likely see them do this this combo. Yeah, this is more likely if you do encounter it. Then big with little, woo, and then another Y with the W that hard to pronounce. Wee, wee, wee. You try it. It's not easy. Then we got wet. And then we get a unique character that has two small ones. So the logic is this is wheat, but the E kind of stands in as the Y sort of thing for the E too. So yeah. Kind of hard to pronounce. I doubt you would ever see this, but maybe. Maybe there's a case you would. What? What? This I think you will find more often than even this wheat, like water. So this is possible. See, and then another W with a Y. Wyo, wyo. Again, hard to pronounce. Anyway, moving on. If you attach a the two dots onto an U, this makes it V. However, for if you speak a European language, obviously you can make a V noise. However, Japanese, where V's are native to their language, they're most likely just going to pronounce this like boot anyway, and pronounce all the V's as B's, because that's what they do in the first place anyway. But if they practice enough, they might use an actual V. Um, but a lot of the same logic applies as the W group. So we got like va, via, v, and we don't have the voot because we already have this. Then view, vet, viet, volt, vio. Now I don't remember this one too much. Oh yeah. Eh, eh. I don't think you would really have a reason to use this, but putting the circle onto it, as it says, is kind of a stand-in for nasalization. So like So like if you were to go to say umite, but umite, like if you're muttering maybe or something, or speaking quickly, I don't know. But I think what they're doing is technically umite is, if you think about it, kind of grammatically incorrect, but just to show that the word actually starts with u, they created a character to describe that it starts with U, but the U is getting pronounced as an instead. I don't know, but that's my gander. Anyway, moving on with the key group. Key plus little yet makes ket. Likewise, geet with little makes get. Then with the ku group, we got quat and quap. Both of these are pretty logical. I think you'd be understood anyway, but I'm not too sure. Then we got queet, quet, and quote. And the same logic with the good group, guat and guat, and then guit and guet and guot. Now, something I learned about that I think is interesting. I think a lot of Japanese content, especially educational Japanese content, is given to you very clean cut. But one thing you can notice when you're speaking, well, not necessarily speaking, but listening to certain Japanese speakers, is they can have a certain quality with the g, or it sounds kind of more like nga, nga, so it's kind of nasalized. So, now I'm not saying you're going to see these characters at all, but these are special characters to transcribe the idea of it being nasalized. So, nga, ngi, ngo, nge, ngo. Anyway, that's what that is. And then shichi jiji. We got shet, chet, jet, and jet. Then with the su, this is how if you wanted to spell out si, because you know how when you going over the katakana it's sa, shi, su, se, so. Well, if you really need to use si, this is how you can spell it, su with a little e to make si. Then the tsu group, tsa, sia, si, tsu, tse, tsie, so, sio. I don't think you would really realistically come across these unless a certain case arises, which I will describe afterwards. Then, likewise, information was zu and zu. So we got z, then we got za, zia, zi, zu, ze, zie, zo, zio. And then with the tet, teat, and shoot. And then with the toes, tweet and toot. And then det and dolt, we got deet, doot, dweet, doot. With the knee / newt, we got nuit and yet. The he group, yet, yet, ket. Foot group, fa, fia, feet, few, fe, fiet, fo, fio, pui, pui. Hoot. So this is how you would do hoot if you wanted hoot. Which, yeah, obviously that's an anomaly that happens with Japanese. Is ha, he, hoot, he, ho. So you don't get that hoot sound, but if you wanted to actually spell who, this is how you would do it, is ho with a small u. Then we got mui, miet, and then going to the R group, we got dui and yet. Now, here's another interesting thing for if you wanted to describe the idea of an L, you could do that, hypothetically, by adding the circle. So we got la, li, lu, le, lo, lia, lu, lie, lio. And lastly, with the W group, same logic can apply as with the U sort of group or whatever characters, where like when you put the accent on U, it becomes V. While you put it on the W ones, they become V versions too. So we got va, vi, ve, and vo down here. Now, to be honest, all of this pretty much is not very useful. You might find a word or two that uses some of this, but in general, it's not very useful. So, when might you come across it? I think there are two situations where you can come across some of this information. The first one that comes to mind is if you're in a remote area of Japan, the big one will be Hokkaido, where you might, for some reason, show appreciation of the area. You might learn Ainu, which is the original indigenous language of the island of Hokkaido. Now, there are some characters that don't really get mentioned on this list, like small versions of actual other characters, like a small version of Koot to represent just like a K, like a N consonant sound. Same thing can happen with Ri and Ru and some other characters. They have some N consonant versions of those. What else? But yeah, I think if you're learning something like Ainu or maybe Okinawan or Ryukyuan, just some sort of dialect of faraway areas of Japan that are on the outskirts of the main island, is probably where you'll encounter some more of this. The other area, which I think you have bigger chances, I think, would be with the idea of linguistics. And so maybe you're in a very heavy, maybe you're learning, I don't know, Spanish from the perspective of the Japanese language. And in a normal Spanish class, they might have said, okay, some mispronunciation is fine. But then in a higher class or research of Spanish language, they actually wanted to spell out everything so that way you can actually pronounce it more correctly. Or for example, going back to the tse idea, one language that comes to mind that is right there, that has a lot of the tse and the ze sounds, is Chinese and other surrounding similar languages. So maybe trying to think of a word that has tse. I can think of one with z in it. Maybe they need to learn how to pronounce Mingzi, which means name, and so they spell it with maybe they might put like Minzi or something to make it a little bit more correct, and instead of simplifying to like Minji for some, or for example, because Minji, the Chinese person might get it, but it'd be more correct to say Mingzi. Still off because it's Mingzi, but you get the idea. But yeah, that's the two areas where I think these might come in handy, is spelling foreign words more accurately than the Japanese simplification. But outside of that, I don't think you would come across them too much. But yeah, that's the content of this video. Is we've gone over katakana, what they will not teach you in the classroom. Again, I will, before ending the video, I will emphasize again, none of the content I've gone over is necessary. You do not need to know literally any of the extra stuff, really, aside from like maybe the we and the wo, the like the u small e and the u small o. Those might come in handy sometimes. Some of the other ones too, maybe like the tu and the d, those sort of noises. T, d, yeah. There's a few. There's a few that you'll want to get down. That you might also have in your textbook, but overall, yeah. You don't need to know all of them. They're pretty self-explanatory if you look at them very carefully and think about them logically. It'll make sense. But without further ado, I think that's going to have to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, please subscribe, share with friends and family and other people that might be interested in this content, and we shall see you in the next video. Till then, hey då!